Whalen, SVP and CIO of Boston Properties, a favorite guest of ours. Hello, Jim.
Jerry,
Great to
good
see
to see
you
again. How's it going?
Amazing. What are your impressions from the show so far?
Oh, I mean, just the energy level. Obviously, even just the pure, the sponsors and vendors on the floor here, so solution providers. It's feeling good. So
Yeah, we are definitely at capacity here. People are kind of, we couldn't fit everyone into the show this year, and you can tell the floor itself is kind of buzzing, throughout the show, even when sessions are going on. You've been coming to this show for
it's close to 20 years.
Close to 20
yeah, about
years?
18, I would say. So yeah.
Before we get into sort of a longer term perspective, what to you are the most exciting ideas emerging from our field today?
Yeah, so so in the last 6 months, year, I've been very focused on, if I look at my job, Jerry, if I went back 10 years ago, I'll give you a perspective.
Sure.
I'd probably spend 90% of my time running the enterprise, like running the company. I probably only spend about 30% of my time there. It's really about the tenant services, space, engagement with space, that I'm spending a lot of time. And then lastly, around IoT and mostly around cyber, right?
Right.
So my job has completely changed in terms of my focus. And if I look at what I'm focused on right now, I've immersed myself in access control systems. Right, how do we get, our platform probably does hundreds of millions of card swipes on badges. That's just ripe for a disruptive kind of, experience of how you get into a building. The same thing with tenant engagement platforms. I moderated a panel this morning just on, again, how, from these mobile devices that we have, we can actually use that to actually, again, get into space, engage with services, engage with food, whatever is at the property. So,
get a little futuristic with me. What could be? What is it possible? We all have these badges.
Yeah.
We have these fobs. We have these items. We all know something else is coming.
Yeah.
What could it be?
Yeah. Well, it's again, I'm going to pull my phone out, right? But this is the form factor right now.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't know what you've got on your watch. I have a traditional watch, but it's really about how you miniaturize the connectivity that allows you to engage. And on stage this morning, they talked about, well, what's next after the iPhone 10? What is after the Samsung 8 or 9?
Right.
Where does this go from a form factor? And that's we'll see where that actually.
Now, my phone unlocks itself by my eyes. Right? Apple Face ID. Do you think that we're moving toward a more biometric?
Yeah. So this is a biometric form factor.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm using my fingerprints. You're using your.
I'd rather use my fingerprints. I don't always want to have to look at the damn thing.
Right.
But so do you think on a larger scale, for people walking into a building, we could get to a point where just
well, there are solutions already in the market. There are turnstiles with cameras that do biometric based on a photo and your gait, and there's a number of companies that are doing that in the space. But I also, as an owner, there's also privacy and holding that potentially biometric information, right? Even though it might be photo or fingerprint. So the interesting construct, though, is like you're trusting your phone with biometric, right? So this becomes a multi-factor, what's called multi-factor authentication device. And you're trusting it, right? So that's an interesting paradigm and construct. That
I mean, why would I trust Apple or Why would I trust Samsung any more than the person who owns the building that I've been in for 20 years? So,
well, you are though.
Definitely, I know.
Right.
But it's stupid in a way.
Yes.
So what else? What are the other future themes that we're looking at that you're looking out at, and you say, here's a question for you.
Yes.
You had a crystal ball, and you could figure out which trend is going to pay off the most, which theme, which trend, which idea that we're looking at today is going to pay off the most.
Yeah.
Which do you think it might be?
Okay. All right. So, I do think, again, I'm focused on access control. I'm focused on tenant engagement. Those are, from a radar perspective, in the next 3 years, I think as a platform, we've got to kind of get, the demands that we're being, our platform, Boston Properties, our tenants are demanding more. The demographic of our our customers, and the occupants of the building are changing, and the expectations, you have to kind of, try to be ahead of it, and be competitive, do competitive positioning around certain foundational things. So the other comment I'll make, Jerry, is that we're a multi-tenanted office owner. Right. So we don't control the internal of our space. A lot of services stop at the door. Our tenants are large. They do their own lighting systems. They do their own even security systems. So it's really, we play with common space. We play with how you get to and from work. We get that we're trying to figure out.
So what's next for tenant engagement for you, for Boston?
Well, we actually have. We've been monitoring that space for about a year and a half. I do think, often there's a little bit of a hype cycle right now, and people leading with technology without necessarily understanding the organizational commitment. You have to do an alignment. You have to have sponsorship. You need the skill sets. It's almost, traditional PM is not necessarily skilled to be a cruise director. Right, I'm just as an extreme, right? So, so getting that organizational alignment, and then having the technology follow is really what we're trying to figure out, and we're doing some experimentation in Boston with various engagement models. Where we have a project at Brooklyn Navy Yard. We're a joint partner with Rudin on a very exciting building right on the water at Brooklyn Navy Yard. But that'll be a WeWork, half the building we WeWork, and then be multi-tenanted. And we are going to have an engagement app with a community manager.
Okay.
Right, not just a traditional property manager, but a community manager, that cruise director, or hospitality manager, or whatever you want to call it. But that trend and how you then curate services, curate events, curate content, get people in and out of the building with an engagement set of services with the technology coupled with it is really kind of what everyone's trying to figure out. A lot of people are trying to figure out. So.
Is it just kind of a silly thing that in 10 years we'll look back on it and go, really, did our tenants need a yogurt making class? Did they need yoga? Or is this critical? Is it in a time where technology is so a part of our lives, is there a demand for community?
Yeah. So you take a step back, right? So what are the changing demographics of the workforce? Right, so you have millennials, let alone beyond millennials, sleeping with their phones. Checking their phones during the course of the night.
Right.
So the expectation I'm going to use this to engage. I mean, this current form factor might change to engage and get immediate. Connection and feedback is really the expectation. So, so then you come back to the fight for talent. So if you need to create communities, create buildings that allow you to attract talent, that's a differentiator, right? And especially in an increasingly environment that's more obviously technology focused, and the kind of skills you need to attract to do that. So all those are kind of underlying, it's ultimately about, as a real estate owner, creating environments that represent your brand, attract talent, and help you succeed as a company in your space selection, right? So, and that's clearly where we operate as a company, as Boston Properties. So.
Well, as you look toward the future, and as we wrap up this segment of Conference Live, is there anything else, any other last theme that Boston Properties is really going to have their eye trained on for this next year?
Well, really the only other thing, I'm talking about all the space and the amenity engagement. I mean, we're doing transformative stuff on our enterprise too. I said, well, I'm only spending 30%. I've got a great team that's doing a lot of good stuff, a lot of partnerships on the floor here that we're pretty excited about, and it's all about making us more efficient, providing services to our tenants, and allowing us to scale, continue to scale. Right?
Fantastic.
So, yeah, it's exciting.
Jim, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jerry.
Jim Whalen, SVP and CIO of Boston Properties. If you